Everyone, and welcome back to the fifth episode now of the White Belt Podcast. Some of you guys might be confused because actually I did come out with a fourth episode. It's only on YouTube though. I did it with a good friend of mine named Tony. Him and I did a podcast, I think, probably about a week and a half ago, but it got cut off like halfway through. Like for whatever reason, I lost like half of the file. I don't know how or why, but I lost half of it. But there's still a good portion of the podcast up on YouTube if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. The White Belt Podcast on YouTube, you guys will be able to find it. Me and my good friend Tony, we talk about basketball. We talk about a bunch of stuff. We talk about the Floyd Mayweather situation or the fight coming up with him. A bunch of other stuff. It'll be on YouTube, or it's on YouTube right now. It's just not going to be on iTunes. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. But since the last podcast, there's a lot that's happened really in the MMA world. I saw yesterday that the Robbie Lawler and Ben Askren fight was confirmed, which is cool because now we get to see, or we know when Ben Askren's going to be fighting in the UFC, which is exciting. It should be a good fight, a good test for Ben Askren because he's never fought anyone like Robbie Lawler, and Robbie Lawler is no pushover. I mean, he's lost, I think, his past two. I could be wrong. I know he's not been the same, but he's no pushover. People are gonna sleep. I don't know if people are sleeping on him or whatever, or what the line is. I don't know if they've even come out with the line or the betting line or whatever. Whoever the favorite is for that fight. I don't know. I think it'll be a good fight. I really don't know who I'm gonna pick because you can't. I mean, Robbie Lawler is no slouch. He's got knockout power, and I mean, I think this is gonna be when we're gonna find out how good Ben Askren really is. Wait, I gotta look that up when that is. I know it's in January. It could be UFC 233. I know it's next year. Let me find this. Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren. Yeah, UFC 233. So Saturday, January 26th. I'm assuming that's probably on the main card. It should be on the main card. It probably could be a main event, co-main event. Will be a good fight. Previously though, or this past weekend, we had the fights in China, the UFC fights in China, with Ngannou and Blades, which Ngannou knocked Blades out within like the first 45 seconds or something crazy like that. Another fight too, I'm not sure if a lot of you guys watched this, was the Kevin Holland fight. He looked really good. I know his last fight or his UFC debut was back at, I forget, it was UFC 227. The UFC 227. It was the September or the October card or August card with the Garbrandt Dillashaw too. And he lost his debut, but he looked really, really good. He didn't. I don't know why. I mean, the whole fight was basically standing up until the last round. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin Holland is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I have no idea why he didn't take this guy down sooner because the third round he took him down and completely just bullied him, just completely smashed him. His pressure was good. His I mean, he looked good. The way he moved on the ground and everything was good. I mean, obviously he's a brown belt, so he's no slouch on the ground. I don't know why he didn't take him down sooner because he looked really good in the third round on the ground. But I mean, he even looked good striking. I just watched that fight today. He had that little jab and then teep kick that he kept hitting him. I mean, I think he hit him like 5 times in a row with it. He looked good. He's got a nice jab. I think he's got a lot of potential. With a middleweight division with a lot of upcoming fighters, young upcoming fighters like Adesanya. Speaking of Adesanya, he just got a fight with Anderson Silva. I saw that a few days ago. That should be a good fight. I heard a cool little story about Israel Adesanya talking about that fight. He said he wasn't really hot on it at first, like he didn't really want to take the fight, or because Anderson Silva was the person that got him into MMA. And, like, he was, like, that person that he idolized, the person that, like, got him into the whole sport. And then he didn't want to fight him because, obviously, that's, like, his idol. But he said he had a dream, apparently, like, the night before he got the offer for the fight or whatever, that he was going to fight Anderson. And then apparently the next day, his that was my Bluetooth speaker. I don't know if you guys heard that. But he said he had a dream the night before he got the fight offer about him fighting Anderson. And then he found out the next day, and he was like, apparently his coach knew that Israel was not too keen on fighting Anderson, but he mentioned it to him, and then Israel was like, yeah, I'll take the fight, and he was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'll take the fight. But he sees it as kind of like a passing of the torch, sort of in the middleweight division between Anderson and Israel. It should be a good fight. I'm probably gonna pick Israel to win that fight. It's pretty early to pick, but I'm gonna probably pick Israel to win that fight. I think he looked really good against Derek Brunson, especially given the fact that of how much he's progressed as a fighter between his last 3 fights. Like his 3 fights ago, he was super easy to take down. You could take him down. He had no takedown defense whatsoever. And then his last fight, he looked good. Was it Brad Tavares? I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he fought Brad Tavares. And, he looked better on his takedown defense. And then this last fight with Derek Brunson, Derek Brunson couldn't even take him down. And Derek Brunson is no slouch when it comes to wrestling. He's got a good grappling background. He's also got legit knockout power. So I think Israel looked really good. I know I talked about him a lot on the podcast. You guys probably think I'm big on the Israel hype train, and I am. But I think he's shown a lot. He's progressed a lot as a fighter, and he's shown that we really don't know where his ceiling's at right now in terms of his fighting potential. But I think if he keeps getting better and better, I think he definitely has a legit shot at eventually getting a title shot. He said he'd like to get a title shot next year, which will be interesting because Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum will be fighting. And then after that, whoever wins that, maybe Israel could take the winner of that after the Anderson fight, if you were to win that fight. But, you never know how that's going to play out because, you never know what happens. 185, it's a little heavier up there. There's knockout power. It is heavier up there. There is knockout power. So, you never know. Someone could get knocked out. Anything can happen. Everyone has a puncher's chance. That's the beauty of this sport because you never know really what's going to happen. But, yeah, that fight will be coming up. The Gastelum and Whittaker fight, and then also the Anderson Silva and Israel Adesanya fight. Also, I saw that for I don't know if it's the first card on ESPN2, but Marlon Moraes, I can never say his name, and Rafael Assunção will be fighting. They're having a rematch, which will be, I don't know if it's the first card that's going to be on ESPN, but it will be on ESPN. That'll be a very good fight. Also, last weekend they had the Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, the Golden Boy MMA, the first inaugural card. I think we all kind of knew that probably what happened was going to happen. Chuck getting knocked out. He didn't even look good. I watched the weigh-ins. He didn't even look good walking to the weigh-ins. He just looked like he had like a problem with like a limp or something when he was walking. When he was taking his shoes off and his shirt off, he had to like sit down and take everything off. I don't know. He just didn't look good. Like, he's 48 years old. He shouldn't be fighting. And the fact that the California State Athletic Commission allowed it, which I understand. They said you can't really deny someone them making a living, which I understand. But then there's becomes like medical issues and medical concerns and health concerns, given the fact that he's so old and he's been knocked out so many times. He hasn't won a fight since 2007. So, and he's been knocked out almost every single time in the past however many fights or whatever. I'm going to look up his losing streak right now because he hasn't won a fight in well over 10 years, and I'm pretty sure a good majority of them have been knockouts, and I just don't feel like I don't feel like it's good, especially for someone who's been taking blows to the head and is 48 years old, almost 50. For someone like that to be taking blows to the head, I think it becomes a health concern at some point. Let me see if I can find this here. Yeah, he hasn't won a fight since 2007, and he's on a 4-fight losing streak, and then he's lost 7 of his last he's lost 5 of his last 7. I apologize. Since 2007, he's lost 5 of his last 7. So, no, that's not right. He's lost 5 of his last 6. Sorry, I can't count. With his only win, or his most recent win being over Vanderlei Silva at UFC 79. But yeah, every single one of his losses except for his Keith Jardine at UFC 76, all of them have been knockouts of the 5 of the last 6. So he's definitely taking some brain damage. And I don't understand how you could let that fight happen. And Dana White even spoke on it and I can understand his stance, saying that De La Hoya is an idiot for doing that, and I think he is too. He made a good point because De La Hoya's talking about how if you want fighters to, if you want to feel respected, you want to get paid, come over to Golden Boy MMA. When like people were barely making like four figures for their fights, and he didn't even know any of the fighters' names. He couldn't even pronounce Chuck Liddell's last name. Like, you don't even know the main event's name, and you're going to talk about respect and all this stuff. You don't know any of your fighters' name, let alone the main event, Chuck Liddell, who's probably, and Tito Ortiz, or I'm sure he knew Tito's name, but I'm saying Chuck Liddell, who's probably arguably one of the biggest superstars in the sport's history. You don't even know his name, and you're going to talk about how you want to bring people over for respect and money, barely even paying people. I mean, I know Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. I think Tito made $200,000 and Chuck made $250,000, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but there's UFC fighters getting paid way more than that. So if you want to talk about getting paid, UFC's still paying people more. That's still a lot of money. $200,000, $250,000 is a lot of money. That's what, $450,000 combined. That's a lot of money. But it's not. I mean, the UFC's still paying more, and Dana White knows people's names. So, I don't know. I think De La Hoya kind of looked like an idiot on that. I mean, I like him as a fighter. I respect De La Hoya as a fighter. He was a great fighter, but in terms of outside the ring, I think he's kind of an idiot. That's just my opinion. And then Dana White was also talking about how he's sitting up there on stage, rubbing his hands, saying he's cold and stuff like that, calling him a coke head and all that, or a coke addict and all this stuff, a junkie, which I don't know. I don't know anything about that, or if there's any truth to that, whether or not, I don't know. But I thought it was pretty funny, and I feel like that's kind of crappy, especially if you're trying to sell this whole respect thing, and if you come over here, if you really want to be a part of something, I don't know, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way, and I feel like it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Dana White even made a good point, and then Tito Ortiz saying how he wouldn't have let Chuck take that fight either. Then why'd you fight him? Because I mean, I understand that as a competitor you have that feeling, even though you've lost the two previous fights, you have that feeling like you could beat him. You know, like in your heart you could beat him or whatever. You feel like you can do it. But the guy's almost 50 years old. I mean, and you're 43, so you got at some point you got to let things go. Like, some things just stay in the past. And I don't know. I feel like if you're going to say if you wouldn't let him take the fight, and then you go ahead and fight him, and then you go ahead and knock him out, and then you said you wouldn't have let him take the fight because of obviously his past and everything, the losses and the knockouts and everything. You wouldn't have let him take the fight, especially given how old he is. And you still do it, and then you knock him out. I just think that's kind of I don't know. It's hypocritical. It's nutty. I don't know. Dana said him and De La Hoya are perfect together. They're both nuts. Now, I don't know anything about either of them, but to me that seems nutty. If you're going to say that and then go ahead and knock the guy out, I don't know. If you feel that confident that you're going to win the fight, and you're going to say how you're concerned about the guy's health and you won't let him take the fight, take him to the ground, beat him on the ground, submit him or something. I don't know. I just feel like that. If you're that confident, the guy's 5 years old and he's almost 50 years old. So obviously at some point there's that age gap that kind of separates you two. Even though you're 43, 48 to 43, I'm sure there's definitely a physical capability, like a gap. And I don't know. Take him to the ground, submit him, do something like that. Don't knock him out. And then you're gonna say how you wouldn't let him take the fight. I don't know. That really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like I said, I just thought that was. I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was bad. But I think Dana White made some good points talking about it. It was pretty funny listening to him talk about it. But also coming up this weekend, I believe. Yeah, it's this weekend. There's the Usman and RDA fight. That'll be a good fight. I'm probably gonna go with Usman and then JDS and Tai Tuivasa. I want to go with Tuivasa. I want to hop on that hype train because I think he's good, but he looked very sloppy in his last fight against Arlovsky. I think, in my opinion, Arlovsky won that fight. Arlovsky looked pretty good in that fight. I think he won that fight. I think Tai Tuivasa looked pretty, I think he looked kind of sloppy, in my opinion. But I mean, you never know. People change, people evolve in between fights. Like I said with Israel Adesanya, Tuivasa could be getting better. And yeah, I mean JDS is no slouch either, former champion. But eventually, I mean, he might be getting older. Age or Father Time catches up with everyone, so I mean, it could catch up with him. But at heavyweight, you never know. Like I said, there's that puncher's chance, and that's what makes this sport so good, or so interesting. So you never know. If I'm gonna pick for that fight, um, I don't know. I saw Kenny Florian said that he's gonna go with JDS, given his reach and everything. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Tuivasa probably, but I still don't think you can sleep on JDS. And like I said, anything can happen at heavyweight, especially heavyweight. Or anything can happen in the sport, but especially at heavyweight. And then as far as RDA and Usman, I'm probably gonna go with Usman. And I think if Usman wins this fight, he should be getting a title shot. I don't see why he wouldn't. But that's my predictions for the I guess the big fights this weekend. I guess the next big card is the UFC 231. That's the Holloway and Ortega fight. It'll be nice to see Holloway back because this fight's been scheduled. Well, Holloway's been scheduled to fight 2 previous times, and he's been pulled out with the Khabib fight and then with the first Ortega fight. So, I mean, excuse me. It's gonna be nice to see Holloway back and Ortega back. I think it's gonna be a good fight. I really don't know what to expect because both of them can stand up and bang. I mean, obviously Ortega is a serious threat on the ground, but he can also box too. He can also he can stand and trade with you. You saw that with especially in the Frankie Edgar fight. He knocked Frankie Edgar out, first person to finish Frankie Edgar, and I think that was a pretty impressive little feat and a nice little feather in his cap, being the first person to finish Frankie Edgar, and also given all of his insane submissions that he's had. He can submit people standing up too, which is insane. Just throw you in a guillotine, a flying guillotine, something like that. So I don't know who to pick on this fight because Holloway is no slouch either. Holloway is a brawler. He beat Jose Aldo twice, and Jose Aldo was like the man. Like nobody thought Jose Aldo was gonna get beat until and then McGregor beat him, Holloway beat him, but nobody thought before that Aldo was gonna get beat. But I mean, you never know. I don't know who I want to pick for this fight. Ortega, like I said, he's very versatile. He can submit people standing up on the ground. He can sit and trade with you. Holloway's a brawler, and he's no slouch. He's got ground game too. But if I had to pick, I'm gonna probably pick. I'm sorry. I'm probably gonna pick. Excuse me. I'm gonna probably pick Brian Ortega. But I really don't know with that fight, to be honest. If I had to put money on, I'm gonna go with Ortega. For the other fight, for the other 2 fights, you have the women's flyweight fight between Shevchenko and Joanna. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this could play the fact that Joanna's lost 2 fights in a row could play a psychological factor, and the fact that Joanna and Shevchenko have fought previously in kickboxing. I'm pretty sure Valentina Shevchenko has won every single kickboxing match. I don't know if there's 2 or 3 fights between them, but Shevchenko's won all of them. So I don't know if that plays a psychological factor, which could be in Shevchenko's favor. If I'm going to put money on it, I'm probably going to go with Shevchenko. I would like to see Joanna win, but if I had to put money on it, I'm going to go with Shevchenko. Jimmy Manuwa and Thiago Santos. That's going to be a good fight. Thiago Santos has been on a tear recently, beating Eric Anders. I forget who he fought before that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Jimmy Manuwa's got serious knockout power too, and there's always that puncher's chance. If I had to put money on it, I'm going to go with Jimmy Manuwa, but I really don't know. But yeah, that's really it for MMA news, honestly. I mean, Khabib's still been talking about trying to fight Floyd Mayweather. He's been going back and forth with him. Tony Ferguson is trying to poke at Khabib, get him to get a fight with him. McGregor said that he's going to be back in 2019 to the Octaring, whatever that means, maybe boxing or MMA. There's been talks, too, of a Cerrone and McGregor fight, which I think would be good at 155. I think that'd be I don't want to say a money fight like a Mayweather McGregor fight or not Khabib and McGregor, but like I think it would be a good pay-per-view fight. I think people would buy it. I think people would enjoy that. I think it would be a good fight for the fans. McGregor probably wins that fight, but realistically, I'd like to see either Tony and Khabib fight because I feel like Tony, out of anyone, has the best chance to beat Khabib. Given the fact that I just feel like that would be such a good fight because Khabib is such a monster on top and Tony is such an animal off his back, but Tony's so well-rounded as well. I feel like that would be a good fight, but it'd also be cool to see Tony and Conor fight. That'd be a very good fight too. That'd be interesting because Tony beat Conor. I feel like Conor might retire after that if that were to happen. If Conor were to lose to Tony, I feel like he could retire. I don't know why. I mean, he could. He's over 30. He's got plenty of money. So I don't know. If that were to happen, that'd be cool. I feel like that'd be a good fight. Either fight with McGregor, either a Cowboy and McGregor fight or a Tony and McGregor fight or a Tony and Khabib fight. Any of those 3 fights would be awesome to see. I'd love to see any of those fights. Also, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys saw Jon Jones did his media tour in New York a few days ago. I don't know exactly what day it was, but it was this week. And he was on First Take on ESPN. He was on Ariel Helwani's show. He was on UFC Unfiltered. I'm not sure the full list, but those are just the things I listened to. I thought it was I don't know. I enjoyed the interviews and stuff like that. It was nice to see Jon back and hearing what he has to say. I'm a Jon Jones fan, but I don't know. It's exciting to see him back because now to close off this year, I feel like the UFC is going in a really good direction right now. With obviously Khabib. The Khabib and Conor fight, just everything that's been going on is the point I'm trying to get at. Everything that's been going on with the UFC right now is it just keeps getting better and better. And Jon Jones is coming back, and Ben Askren coming over. DC's got one more fight left. Who could he fight? It could be Brock or it could be Jon Jones. Jon Jones said though that he's either gonna fight DC at light heavyweight or they're gonna have to pay him a boatload of money to go up to heavyweight. So you never know. I feel like to close out the year, we are filled with some great fights, or even to open up the next year, we're filled with great fights. Adesanya, Anderson, Kelvin Gastelum, Whitaker, Askren, Lawler. I'm drawing a blank here. Obviously, the Daniel Cormier fight. So we got some good fights to close it out. It should be interesting. But like I said, that's probably it for MMA news. I'm still working on getting more people on here. Like I said, I obviously had someone on my last podcast, but it didn't work out completely. It's not on iTunes, it's just on YouTube. So go ahead and check that out. Also, if you guys can tell, I changed up the scenery. I'm still trying to get some stuff. I'm ordering some stuff online. I'm gonna get a Muhammad Ali poster, maybe the UFC 229 poster with like Khabib and Conor. It says the world's watching with the flags in their eyes and stuff like that. I might get that up. I'm gonna throw that up back here. But I got like a prop belt from Rocky, the same flag and everything. But I'm gonna try to get some more stuff to make the background look better. Try to improve it. The shot is different now. Hopefully the lighting's better. Also, if you guys have any ideas or anything you guys want me to, I say this after every podcast, but if you have any ideas, suggestions, constructive criticism, anything that would help improve the podcast, let me know down in the comment section below of this YouTube video, and go ahead and check out the podcast on iTunes now at or the White Belt Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at White Belt Podcast, YouTube at I don't think it's at, just YouTube, the White Belt Podcast. I'm going to be making a Twitter for it here soon. But if you guys have anything you guys want me to do, talk about people you want me to have on here, let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. I apologize for not being as consistent as I need to be. I'm going to be trying to get back into the groove of making podcasts and being consistent as much as possible. A lot of people I know they're going to be in town here in the next month for the holidays. I'm going to talk to you and hopefully get some people on the podcast. I got some cool people that are going to be in town and hopefully on the podcast. I got a friend of mine, the streamer that I talked about previously. Trying to get him on here. For whatever reason, I can't seem to get him on here. But if you guys want to, go ahead and go over to his Twitter at the Fonz43, FONZ43. Go to his Twitter and spam him. Tell him to hop on the White Belt Podcast. I want you guys to do that. just tweet at him, say hop on the White Belt podcast, please, because I want to get him on here. I want to get him on here and talk about all kinds of just interesting stuff about video games, stuff like that. I love video games. I'm a pretty big nerd when it comes to video games. I've been playing video games my whole life. I feel like that'd be a fun podcast. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for a while. Known him since I was like 5 years old. So I really want to get him on here. If you guys would go ahead and blow up his Twitter, tell him to come on the White Belt podcast. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap up today's episode. I really hope you guys did enjoy. I'm definitely gonna work on getting another episode out next week for sure. I have a lot of stuff coming up. Like I said, I'm still in college, so finals and everything like that is coming up within the next week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'm gonna try to balance podcasts and schoolwork and all that stuff. But during like the whole month of December, I should be coming out with a good amount of podcasts. But yeah, go ahead and check me out on YouTube, iTunes, and Instagram. Follow me. Check out the Instagram. Give it a follow. I usually give a lot of updates on there in terms of the podcast. When a podcast like goes up, and just anything that might pertain to the podcast. I may or may not be posting MMA news or anything oriented to that. If you guys want me to, just let me know. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And that wraps up this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later.